Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first official Tech Tool Tuesday. This is something that I'm hoping to offer more regularly in the Notion Consultants course, and then open it up to some people outside of the course as well, mostly my newsletter subscribers or people who are, I'm in chats with, like Celine. I've been messaging you on LinkedIn recently, so I was happy to invite you. Uh, but yeah, so basically, what I want to do is really have a wider view of all those tools that are existing in the Notion ecosystem because they're coming out left, right, and center, some good, some bad. And the ones that I think are pretty top notch, I'd like to feature here with their creators. And Flo has so graciously decided to join us on our first day of this. So, what I'm going to do is just kind of hand it over to Flo, let him tell a bit about his app, the story, do a demo, and highlight the use cases for us as motion consultants, because that really is the main thing that we're trying to learn here. How can we use this tool? I mean, you don't have to be an Notion consultant to use this tool. It's good for everybody. So Flo, go on and tell us a little bit about this whole app that you've got going.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I think you're the one being very generous inviting me, more than me being generous for coming, especially talking about my favorite thing, which is Notice. So I've launched Notice last November. It's a project that I've been working on since last summer. I'm a solo creator. I've just actually recruited my first employee about a month ago to help me scale the go-to-market of Notice. So basically, I like backtrack last summer. I'm a heavy Notion user, like lots of you, and I was constantly facing this problem where whenever I'm driving, whenever I'm about doing other things than being in front of my computer, those are the moments that I get my best ideas. And those are also the moments where I remember things that I have to do. And,
Mhm.
I think we all have this experience that you might have installed the Notion app on your phone, but every time you think about launching it, you're like, nah, let me put that somewhere. Like from the moment
Absolutely.
I go search the database with my tasks, put it there, even if you put shortcuts
Yeah.
and you're not like me and have a widget on your phone, somehow you never end up using it.
Yeah.
And actually learned in the process that Notion now has 100 million desktop users, but they only have 10 million active mobile users. So they basically have 90 million unsatisfied mobile users that use Apple Notes or put something in WhatsApp for them later. And then you end up with that extra work of putting all this thing back to Notion and back to whatever second brain you use to organize your life or your notes or something like this when you're back at your computer. And I was frustrated with this. So I searched for a solution. And as every product I've ever created, I couldn't find it. So I wanted to create it for me. It started as a very simple, workflow, N8N workflows and so on. And it grew up to, about 30,000 lines of codes today. So it kind of morphed along the way. And basically what it had become is so much more than that first idea. And that first idea was really just, let me record my notes in a voice message, tell my AI intern what to do with this, and then find it back when I'm back on my computer in the right places. So it really started like this, and eventually it morphed into more like a way to turn any Notion database into its own verticalized AI agent, whatever you're intending to do or automatize. And I think most users that I get now kind of follow the same path. They start as this frustration. And that's really how we attract users on this pain point of mobile apps while on the go and trying to capture your idea and your task there. So we provide them with what we call our second brain notice system, which is, basically like any second brain you've seen in your life. You have your areas, your tasks, your projects, your notes, and so on. But it's just a showcase to get people started, getting their content from whatever app they're using to capture their audio notes to Notion. And the way it works, something that I should have mentioned, is that we do all of this inside your favorite messaging apps. So you can use it on WhatsApp, you can use it on Telegram. Now you're going to be able to use it from your emails, from Redcast if you're an Apple user, and basically send voice notes, send documents, send images, text, any modality, and find it inside your Notion workspace. So this is a bit the backstory behind it. And now what we have is what we call a multi-agent system. So Notice is actually multiple AI agents with the planning agents on the top. So whenever you send a message, a plan will be made, and this plan will be delegated to different AI agents to be executed. And you get some agents that are specialized in creating Notion documents, other to retrieve content inside your Notion workspace, other to search on Perplexity or do some autonomous things like sending you an email or something like this. And so this happens every time that you send a message to Notice. So I like to call it my AI intern, because I think it really helps into figuring out when it makes sense to using it and when it doesn't make sense to use it. So just to give you, a sense of this, if you add an intern and you give it access to your Notion workspace, maybe you wouldn't, send him a text to ask it to create a task for you while you're sitting at your desk in front of your computer with Notion opened. You would do it yourself. But maybe when you're on the go in your car and you think about something, you would send it to your intern and say, hey, can you make a nice summary out of this? Or maybe if you just recorded a meeting on your phone and you want it transcribed and you want a draft sent to your email with a task list that you can send to your attendees, then that would make sense. So this is really what Notice has become now. And it's very different than what Notion AI is offering. Notion AI is optimal for speed, for real time. It's like a chat GPT experience. It's not an agent. So it's made for real-time interaction back and forth, with what we call vectorized search for your documents. So you cannot query your database. You can only search in a semantic way your content, but it's very fast. And Notice is slow, but very autonomous. So that's a bit what I have developed so far.
It's amazing so far. I've really enjoyed being able to go on my walks in the morning, and that's when all the ideas come. But I hate bringing my phone with me, and so I had like a little notebook. I think it happened to me like this little notepad, and I was bringing it, just like writing down things, and it's just such a. So now I've brought my phone back into the walks, and I've got the whole thing going, and it's just I've got this content idea, I've got this task idea. It's almost too bad because it's too much, because like all my ideas don't need to have a life, but because some of them should die. But unfortunately now with Notice, I go back to my dashboard after the walk, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, well, which ones do actually make it through? And it's got like this whole inbox system. I love it. So thank you so much. It's been great to check out.
It's great to hear.
Can you give us a little demo?
Yeah, for sure. So let me share my screen. We'll get on my phone. Hopefully this works well. This is a view of my phone. So I'm using Notice on Telegram. We have two versions right now. We have WhatsApp, we have Telegram. On Telegram, we were testing what we call turbo mode. It's basically twice as fast as what we have in WhatsApp. And for a lot of people, that kind of matter, because like I was mentioning, Notice is slow. It's very autonomous. So if some of you code and use Cursor, for example, I would make the analogy of like it's Cursor compared to ChatGPT. You ask something to Cursor, it's going to go and create this and call functions and tools and so on. It's going to take a while. It's going to take like, 1 to 2, 3 minutes. If you, use ChatGPT, is going to not do all of this, just generate tokens, and it's going to go right away. So speed is a big challenge. But on the other end, you're not optimizing for speed, you're optimizing for intelligence and autonomy. So the first use that are the most interesting are the one that I call fire and forget. So you fire it and then you move on with your life. And that's why we stuck with like the interface of a messaging app. And I'll explain in a minute, but let me just create a task. Hey,
You know,
can you just create a new task to prepare the demo for my upcoming interview with Molly Jones? Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, speed, I feel like doesn't even really matter though, because it is just like you're putting it out there. I'm not going into my Notion database now, anyways, because if I was, I would not need this app, So it's not even a downside, really.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention in terms of framing because uh, oh, I'm doing a demo, but I deactivate my subscription, so I'll have to activate my subscription to continue the demo. So then I can show you the flow to subscribe to Notice. So basically, that's a good thing in Telegram. You get like this list of comments that you can run. So you can you can go to the portal to, select which database you want to synchronize with Notice, or you can go to subscribe and then you get a link to subscribe or manage your subscriptions. If you already have a subscription, it's normally $40, but you get currently like half the price for the first 500 paid users. So if you guys are interested, you just put first 500 as a coupon, and then you get it for $20. And while we speak and take some airtime while I activate it off screen, not to share my credit card with driver, I'll let you ask me some questions and I'm just going to quickly activate this.
Sure. All right. I did have a few questions that I thought of prior to the call. Um, And one of them is, how do you imagine Notion consultants can implement this for their clients? Will it be an easy thing that like we can take over and just say, hey, yeah, do you want to add this? Because a lot of us, we work remotely and we don't, touch the client's phone or their Telegram or things like that. So would it be like a walkthrough session that we do with them, or yeah, what are your thoughts from that space?
So one of the major opportunity, I'd say, for anyone working with Notion and putting, some brain power on this, is that it's very easy for people to get started with Notice. It's very hard for them to really understand the paradigm of what they can do with it. And let me just, take a quick example to be very concrete here. So the other day I was talking with a CEO friend, and he was mentioning, yeah, I have this problem. I'm managing my content calendar. I'm looking for an AI tool that could help me streamline this. And, I've tried ChatGPT, doesn't have my context. And I'm trying to put things in the context window, but it's very painful and so on. And because I know Notice and I know what I can do with it, I was like, hey, I have the perfect solution for you. So we open a call and I just create like a quick database that I call content calendar for him. Like you would do as a Notion consultant. You say, hey, let me help you fix this problem and create a little piece of software that does exactly what you want to do and support your workflow. And so in that database, we go over his LinkedIn profile, and we copy his past 10 posts, and we just tag them as published. So now we can follow, which post has already published, but we create a context for an AI to know how you write content on LinkedIn.
Mm.
And then we tagged the post that performed the best as most performing post. And
Okay.
then I just showed him, okay, now install Notice. So he went over the onboarding. It's optimized to be done, by yourself. So you don't even have to do it with the client, but you can do it on a client call. And then I just showed him how to add this new database that I'd created for him. And then suddenly now he has this, again, agent that we've created just for creating content for him. So he can go on a walk and say, hey, I'm thinking AI agent is really the new SaaS of 2025. Can you make a post for me? And then, the agent knows that there is a database called Content Calendar. In that database, if I want to write something, there is instructions that you put into the description of the database that says, hey, whenever you want to write a new post in that database, just look at the last post I've written that are tagged as most performing post and write in the same style. And the AI intern does this. It query that database, search for the post with the most performing tag, and then create a new post with basically the what was pitched to the AI. And so this process of coming up with this idea of using Notice this way and setting up
Mm.
for the client is really where I see template creator and Notion consultant bring a huge value, because it's something that needs to be adapted to the need of every single client, but then you can also replicate the more kind of use case you see coming.
Wow. I didn't even know that you could do it like that. And that kind of actually brought me to my next question because like I've only used it in that simple, like I'm on the go. I need to just get information into my database. And this is the fastest way because as we discussed, the Notion app is lacking, to say the least. So you're saying that I can just go in here and say, hey, I've got an idea for a post about bridges. Can you write it up for me in reference to like my most amazing posts I have up there already, and then it will create the post in there for you.
Yeah.
Shit.
And this
Wow.
And this is like for someone doing content calendar. Like, to give you another example, the other day I was talking to a writer, writes for big magazines, like Forbes and others. And he was like, hey, how can I use Notice in the context of my own job? And so he just created a very simple database with a list of articles that he has written and the clients that it has written that article for. And no, same thing. You can say, hey, I have this idea for an article. Can you draft something for me for Forbes? And then in the in the description of this database, then we just explain the AI what we want the AI to do every time it uses that database. So I want you, whenever I'm telling you to write an article, only write in the style of the previous article I wrote for the same clients. And it can do this. But it can be like every time I I give you a transcript of a meeting, I give you a meeting recording, save it there, and then send me a draft by email of the people of the tasks that were mentioned in that email. So you can
Mm.
create entire workflows by just creating database inside Notion and have them AI powered.
So you said you put that in the description of the database. You put then so Notice knows how to go into that database. So
Yeah, you
that's
have two ways. You can two places where you can put instructions that let you basically customize this AI agent, and it's the description of the database and the description of the fields inside the database. So now I can
mm,
show it to you in a minute, but now I've like asked it to run the task after I activated my subscription, and just told me that it created task, and my task is saved here. It inside my database, and it sets the priority, and all it can set all the fields for you. So if you give it instructions, either in the description of the database or inside your audio recording, it will do that itself. It will fill all the field. And another cool use case is that, let me see if I can do that right now. This is going to be a live demo, so it might fail miserably, like live demo 10. It's called
Well, there's only 6 of us on the call, so
it's called the demo effect. So another very cool use case is that it supports all modalities. So I can really just, let me just make sure. Give me just a second to prepare the demo. So there you go.
I don't want.
Well, I'm just going to let you imagine that I'm in a conference and I'm being handed a ton of business cards, and
Dude.
it's pain. So what I do is I just take Telegram. I take my business cards. I didn't have business cards, so this is just a word from my neighbor to give me her contact details. And I can just say, I can say nothing and it will understand this. But to make you relate to the example more better, I can say, hey, can you put this in my personal CRM? And basically, I have a database that is my personal CRM. So what it do, it can not only can see the images, but it can look into the images and understand the text. So hopefully what we're gonna see is that it's gonna extract the information of my neighbor and create a new contact in my CRM and give me the link to that new contact. So I can do this with my receipts, for example, to track my expense. I do it track my subscriptions. For example, I have a subscription database and I just forward emails of confirmation of my subscriptions for it to update this. You can think about it, absolutely a ton of use cases.
Oh, how do you forward email to? Do you just do like on WhatsApp, or how do you forward your email to?
Actually, that's something we released this month. So you're just forward an email to a@notis.ai and will recognize that you're using your email, and it'll take the content of the email, including the attachments and the images, and save it inside your Notion database. So again, another cool use case. We're recruiting people at right now. So I'm receiving a lot of emails with CVs, and then I somehow have to triage this. So what I did is I spent literally 5 minutes to create a database called applications. And each properties is a mandatory skill that we need to consider when recruiting for, let's say, a senior AI developer. So you need 5 years of Python, you need hands-on approach on large language models. Those are checkbox, for example, and maybe like a score, 1 out of 5 or relevancy on this. And then now I can just forward the applications I receive to a@notis.ai, and it'll understand that I have a database called applications. It has to complete the fields to save things inside this database. So it'll extract information from the CV and from the email to complete those fields, including what I think are mandatory requirements. And then I can just create views in Notion that says, hey, show me just the one that check all the boxes for what we're looking for. And I've, it took me like 5 minutes to create a Postman that would take hours to do in Zapier or LinkedIn, and it would do for 1 week, basically.
Because I'm dealing with that right now. With Notion Mail came out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna set up a tag so this goes here and that goes there, and then it came back like it's not working. I'm like, what do you mean it's not working? Everything is right. It works yesterday. So like all I have to do is go notice.ai, and it just knows what to do for me, or like it's set up yet, or that is already set up.
Sorry, I didn't catch the question.
Sorry. So in order to send the emails, it's a@notice.ai.
Yeah.
from my Molly at notionology.com. It already knows me because it's connected to my Notion workspace. And then it just does its thing, even though I like literally have them. Like, oh, will it only connect to the ones that I've connected, like the databases
Yes.
I've already connected? Okay, because I have a lot of
Yeah.
databases from all my client builds and everything like that. If you want
Yeah. I
my
would
text
recommend
database
people
in
to
there,
keep
1 million.
around 20 database in sync. And so you don't like, a good practice is like you want the database to be well named. So the AI,
Mhm.
it's not magic. It's again, it's your intern with access to your Notion database. So if you have 10 databases that are called tasks, and they're nested inside, clients pages, there's no way the AI knows what is task one database versus task 10 database. So there's definitely a way to organize this to make the job doable for an AI. And even more like the easier the job is for the AI, the more it can put intelligence into the document it creates instead of putting intelligence into finding where you want them to be stored. So to go
Yeah,
back to our example, this is Ilke that I took the photo before. It extracted the email. There was an email. It extracted the phone number, put it in the phone field, and extracted all the rest inside the main document and saved the image as well for me. So, and this is inside my uh, CRM database. Actually, there is no breadcrumb, so I cannot go back to it from here. But if I go to my, can I find it this way? Personal CRM. Then we'll have Hilke somewhere not categorized. There you go. And so now if I wanted, for example, Notice to know that whenever I create like a new entry here, the behavior that I want me is to set the status to, for example, qualified lead by default, then I could just modify that field, which was status, and just add information here and say, hey, by default, the status should be qualified lead. And now next time I'm going to create a new entry in that database, Notice is going to follow these instructions as like a prompt. Same thing, if I go to my main database, what I was talking about before, I say I add a description and I want a behavior to happen every time Notice has to write inside that database, I can just add that behavior inside the description. So if I say I don't want the image to be saved, I could say, hey, don't save the image, for example.
Okay. This on your website or like these use cases? Because I feel like I am learning a lot and I would love to be able to just go through and like know everything that you're doing easily. Like, can I do it this way? Can I do it that way? Or because I feel like the website is a little bit sparse at the moment.
Yeah, and that's definitely a fair comment. The We spend a lot of time making Notice an incredible product and not enough time building the documentation and the tutorial that needs to be there for people to understand what it does. So right now, the way we deal with this is I personally onboard every users. So I explain all of it to them when they make the call. But basically, right now, you can be inspired with those use cases here that you can example of conversations for different kind of use cases, and it gives you kind of an idea of the basic or at least most popular use cases that people use Notice for. But really, the part that is about changing any Notion database into its own AI agent doesn't have any documentation. It's actually something I'm working at the time. We're building a lot of video content to kind of showcase use cases as we discover them because like Notion, when they started with the template story, you have no idea what people are going to do with it. You just see use cases or think things that are cool, but you want to reference them somewhere for someone else to find them, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. Because otherwise, most users they're not going to do anything with it. Basically, they're not going to put the brain power to come up with those innovative way of using an innovative tool. That's why we have
Yeah.
templates for Notion. And that's exactly what we intend to build eventually.
Wow. That's so exciting. I'm just like floored. I had no idea all the capacity that it had. I was just excited to write some notes quickly in there. But now it's like I'm literally I just booked a conference yesterday as well, and I'm like I need to get some business cards together because on this little island there's nobody that I'm giving a business card to, and I need to do all my receipts, and now all of that is going to be
I
super
think
easy.
I think that's the reason why I'm procrastinating on this for so long, is that I enjoy so much getting on a call with people that are already very excited and tell me, "Hey, you created the tool I was dreaming. Like I can just record my voice and I find it in the right place in Notion. It is amazing." And then
Mm,
I, talk about all of this and they're like, I had no idea. I'm just floored. Like I can't wait. I'm gonna test this. I want to show this to my client. I want to try this and so on. And as a creator, it feels
mm,
good. You put a lot of
yeah,
work for things. You fail a lot. I've failed,
yeah,
more startups that I can count in my life. So you need
yeah,
those small wins. When you talk to people and you're like, yeah, this is really amazing, and that
yeah.
validates your vision. That means that you're
Mhm,
not the only one. You're not trying to solve this problem only for you. And
mm.
that's a huge thing. So I think that's the only reason why I'm procrastinating so much into creating great documentation at that point.
I mean, you can't do everything, especially if you're just starting hiring now too. Like it's hard out there trying to do everything by yourself. How long
Yeah.
took you to create this? Or like from the idea to like
So like I
validating it?
mentioned, I started last summer, and I released the first paid version in November. Um, and since then, yeah, we've really worked on improving the product, making it, more reliable. There's still a ton of work, to be honest, to be done in that area until I'll be really satisfied. I think the vision now, like we're super super bullish on what we're building and why it's useful and what needs to be done. In terms of content, in terms of uh, template store, in terms of partnership problem. We have an affiliate program where we
Yeah.
offer like 40% commission on the first year revenue for everyone bringing us new users. It's already working great toward
Mm,
template creators. We
mm,
actively reaching out to every creators on the Notion template store to tell them, hey, like basically you can connect your template to Notice and tell your users that now you've created an AI agent that is specialized in whatever your template is about. So they get very excited. Um,
mm,
so now we start to see where we want to go, and also importantly, we start to see where we want to go after Notion, because right now we're a Notion tool,
mm.
um, and we're creating an AI tool for a company that is really well known for its AI ambitions. I think they're failing miserably at the time, but it's very difficult to do innovation when you have 100 million users that you need to keep satisfied.
Yeah.
I think we're doing amazing thing internally, but where
Yeah.
we can see externally right now is quite bad. Like when you are a platform that prides yourself as a system that organize information around database, but your AI doesn't understand database and just search text, there is like a problem. It made sense, a few months after GPT-4 got out, but now we're down the line a few years and the product has basically not moved past its ability to create a database, which is very cool. But I think it's just like a short-term problem for them. They're gonna fix it. They're gonna have something like Notice soon that will
Mhm,
do the same thing that Notice, maybe with the same vision than we have. I
mhm.
mean, our product is public now; everyone can look at
Yeah.
it and test it.
Yeah.
And don't be fooled. People inside Notion takes time to check what solo entrepreneurs are doing. So the question becomes, okay, what in 6 months? What is the product's going to be about when this is a feature for Notion? And now we're very clear on this as well. And so this has
Mm.
also been a major focus on the work we were putting on the product. What is going to happen after Notion does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta think about future proofing yourself. But I think, I'd be excited to hear. I'm sure it's top secret, but keep us in the loop of what the room
No,
looks
it's not actually. I can be very
like. Okay.
transparent out of it. I think it's not. We can share it because it's what we've chose to do. I don't think many will choose to do the same thing. But one thing that we've learned in that whole process, and then I can give you how we learned this and how lucky we were to learn this, is that it actually matter for people to do those kind of things inside their messaging app instead of another tool, being the
Mm.
an AI app or anything. So even though eventually you'll be able to have a Notion voice agent within the app that is going to be very accessible and have a shortcut and so on, there's still like a significant portion of people that they work inside WhatsApp, they work inside Telegram. If you're
Mhm.
busy executive today and you're rarely in front of your computer, you have your personal assistant, you have your wife, you have your colleagues, and so on. They're on WhatsApp. They're not on other tools, or maybe they're on Slack if you've
Yeah.
accepted to use Slack. Um, and so I think the future of verticalized agents as definitely messaging apps definitely have a part in it, because people will expect to work with very autonomous AI agents inside the same tool they work with colleagues. And this is going to be
Mhm.
necessary. So
Yeah.
our vision is really bringing Notion as the first productivity tool, as the first power tool inside as messaging app, and nailing all the things that you have to nail to work there. And it poses significant challenges in terms of UX. You can only rely on text. There's no interface. There's a lot of things that needed to be solved to make that experience as seamless as it is already, and there's a lot of things that remain to be solved as well. And so we see ourselves bringing Airtable, bringing your CRM
Mhm.
and on. And those apps, they develop their own AI system and they expose them through the API, like Notion has done with MCP servers. Uh,
Mhm.
Great. We don't have to do it ourselves. We can just integrate them and focus into creating the best uh, assistant that integrates all these different tools in a very cohesive manner. So it knows your context. It knows your professional context. So when you ask something, it can do it based on your professional context. Because I really believe that what's going to make the difference in terms of your productivity and your competitiveness in the next 12 months, it's going to be how you build your second brain and digital
Mhm.
second brain. We're all going to have access to GPT-5, 6, and so on. We're going to
Mhm.
all have
Mhm.
access to the best AI model humanity has
Mhm.
access. It's been trained on the entire corpus of information generated
Mhm.
in humanity. The only difference that's going to be between your AI and my AI is how I fed my AI with context that are relevant to what I do. And so you want this in a consolidated way. You want this easily accessible in the messaging apps, and you want ton of context to be able to give it to it.
Yeah. Wow. That's so exciting. You must be so proud and excited. And do you sleep? That's what I would. Like, you probably just sitting there, ideas flowing, getting things done.
Yeah, I had to take like I'm actually a week off because I was close to burnout like
Yeah.
just 2 weeks ago because
Yeah.
yeah, it's like any startup, you're under a ton of pressure. Where I've been building this mostly by myself, and I
Mhm.
intend to continue doing it this way because I think AI has also enabled us as entrepreneur to do so much more than we were doing before. I have
Mhm.
an AI agent that runs 24/7 to write blog articles, another that
Yeah.
talks to micro influencers, another that uh, generate code for my program, and so on. So I call myself human in residence in my company.
Mhm.
'Cause I'm basically managing AIs now, and the people that we hire are people that are managing AIs themselves. So it's a very different way, But yeah, this definitely a lot of pressure. But I wouldn't call myself proud yet. I think we're really just at the beginning of the journey. The vision is cool, but we're still very small. We still have very few paid users. We have great metrics that makes us very excited about the future, but it's not like we have like 10 million users right now. So, and it's a very competitive market. It's a very
Yeah.
noisy market. Every tools are going out every day, exponentially more, because AI has made it so easy for anyone to create product, including us, but it's also made the market very noisy. And so it's going
Mhm.
to become harder and harder to get people's attention as
Mhm.
we progress in the year. Basically, we're talking
Mhm.
about a year time frame. So this is also very stressful in that sense.
Well, I think it's good that you're connecting with, the Notion consultants and creators, because this is, another way for them to monetize their services. And that's what I'm always looking at. How can I make the most out of each client? Uh, Giving them, well, Notion themselves, I think recently has closed down their affiliate program too, which is not great. So yeah, I think having something like this to be able to share. And I noticed that you had a lifetime deal option too, which I feel like would be a really good start for anybody here on the call. Getting all of this done in just one swoop payment.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's a bit something crazy that we done really for the first people that are crazy enough to trust in us. So we basically sell the product for a lifetime for the price of 10 months,
Yeah.
which honestly we're losing money on it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy for me that people go on the website and browse the website for 5 seconds and then purchase something that is $200. It's a very important validation for us that we're doing something that matters to them. We're solving a problem that matters to them. And so that's why we've put this in place. But it's something that will stop the craziness very soon.
I love a lifetime deal. I'm just like on AppSumo every other day. Like, what can I try out? Let's do this. And then most of them don't stick, but I feel like this one is here to stay. At least it sounds like it is. I feel like you're doing some great things, and it's right up my alley, and hopefully right up the alley of everyone on this call. So I wanted to actually give these guys a chance to ask some questions. I know Eileen first had one in the messages. Does does it support any other languages? Good question, Eileen.
All languages. You can speak to Notice in every single languages, and it can
Every
actually
single language.
reply to you in every single language. And then it can also process information in your Notion database in every single languages.
Okay.
So it's a
Like,
really truly multilingual solution.
very curious to use it.
Great. Thank you, Elaine.
Does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to get on the call if you wanted to just text it out there. Uh, I can read it off for you if you're feeling a little shy. I know that there are a lot of things going through my head right now. Like I'll check my list really quick. I um did have a few. Let's see what's left. Oh, it's kind. What feature are you the most proud of that isn't like as immediately noticeable? And I think you've kind of showed us a few use cases, which is good. But is there something that you're like, this is my shining star?
Yeah. So one thing we haven't talked about, um, so it totally matches your question, is you can actually ask Notice to do any of those things in a regular manner. So you can say, let's say you want to run a competitive analysis of your competitors every week. You can tell Notice, hey, can you search to my competitors that I've listed in this database on Perplexity every week and update their entry in my database. So maybe you have a pricing field, you have, different things, different features and so
Mm.
on. And so you can and just ask Notice to do this as a regular interval. I ask it to send me a summary of my week with all the tasks that I've completed every Friday to know how I've done in the week.
Yeah.
And so when you combine those three features, like the fact that it's inside the messaging apps, the fact you can turn any, database into its own agents, and the fact that it can run like regularly and from different channels. Really, the combination of those three is the thing that I'm most proud of, because that's really where you can start it. Like, you start doing crazy things with it, and you start realizing that there's no way I'm doing this with another tool. It's not like an alternative to Zapier or something like that. It's like it's really like a tool of its own that takes a
Mm,
bit of a Zapier, that takes a bit of a ChatGPT,
mm.
that bit of an agentic Notion AI and so on, but creates something truly unique for people that need to be productive.
So you don't even have, like, I can just say to do this regularly for me. I'll say, hey, can you do this every week? And then that's it. I don't have to set up a recurring task. I don't have to do anything. It just knows every week to do that.
Yep. Yep. You can say
Oh,
every hour,
nice.
every third of the month, every time the whatever. It's like and you can use this for reminders, of course. So we all started to say, hey, can you remind me to send this email like
Yeah.
3 weeks? That's where we start. But then instead of having basic reminders, then you can turn those into a prompt that run regularly. And I got inspired by GPT task, which lets you to run prompt on ChatGPT at different interval as well. But it's very limited because ChatGPT is not an AI agent that has access to tools, cannot send emails, can do online search, true, but it cannot create you documents, cannot access your documents and so on. So the ability of taking these features and bringing it inside the product is where you start to see that when you develop like a vertical platform, those features start to compound into something that people that just do one thing very well cannot do.
Mhm. Wow. I mean, you're essentially giving somebody a whole employee for $40 a month. Like, I feel like that's a pretty goddamn good value.
An
But is
intern,
there
an
still
intern. I call it my AI intern because I think it's still stupid for a lot of things. I think it's amazing that in 2025 you can have an AI intern, and I think we get a new AI model every month, basically those days. And I'm talking about frontier model. So this month we got 4.1 and oh 04 mini. It was just about like 2 months ago, we add all three mini and so on. So the speed at which the frontier model are coming is exponential. And I think we're going to see an explosion of intelligence, which I think brings a lot of questions in our society, of course. But for me, it means that my AI in turn, it takes like a line of code that I change where I say, hey, no, use oh 04 mini. And it just got smarter. It just got a bump into its CVs, basically. And so in a year, even if I don't write a line of code, Notice will be so much smarter, and hopefully it will be your executive assistant and not just your AI intern. And
into?
so I always tell users, this is the stupidest it will ever get.
Mhm.
It will never get more stupid than the point where it is right now. So if you
Mhm.
start right now, yeah, that's why you should be putting time in this, because in 12 months, you're going to be the one that has trouble understanding how to use it, not because it's complicated, but because you're just human, basically.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I've been going down an AI rabbit hole for quite some time, and I'm very much less skilled than you are, of course. But this is just going to save me so much hassle from learning so much that I have to learn. As a Notion consultant, our base foundation is Notion, of course, but that doesn't mean we don't have to learn Make or Zapier, N8N, or any of those. And now I feel like I don't have to learn as much. I feel like there is a lot that we can just get done through this and make it a whole lot easier on us and focus on what we're good at, which is very exciting for me. And
And And in that case, regarding this, I have in my Notion, I integrate regularly like Make or things like this. For example, I have this content calendar database that is synchronized with Typefully. I use
Mhm.
Typefully to post on X and LinkedIn and so
Mhm.
on. And because I want to use Notion AI and Notice to create content for me, it needs access to the post that I've already created and to the post I create when I'm in front of my computer. So I want all of this to be.
Yeah.
So I actually, synced all of this with Make Workflows. In that case, Pipedream Workflows, but it's pretty much the same. And now that break of having Notice there makes even more sense.
Mhm.
And also, just a side note, we also have an API that we haven't released publicly, but it's going to have its part in the product for people that are comfortable with tech. Because I don't know if you've tried to do anything with Make integrating with Notion.
Mhm.
Notion API is a nightmare. Um,
Mhm.
so powerful, the structure of the documents, that whenever you want to create or update a document, it's very complicated.
Mhm.
And generally it breaks after a week, because if you change anything, your database doesn't work anymore. So again, now you can use Notice to, as an API, to just say, hey, here's the content. And with natural language via the API, you can just say, hey, add this to my database. And
Mhm.
whenever your database change, Notice is going to be able to do the task for you. And then you can
Yeah.
just use like an API, like you would do with Make. So you can integrate
Mhm.
any product directly to this.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm so glad that we had you on today. I didn't know if we'd be able to fill in the whole hour, to be honest, but now I'm just like, can we keep going? Let's talk more. But I want to give everyone back their time and just see if there's any other last minute questions, or if there's anything that you wanted to just share, any closing thoughts on this full conversation.
No, thank you for having me. It was I think we really covered everything that I like to cover with new users when we onboard them. So it's been a fantastic hours talking about this and
Mm.
laying out that vision for you. I hope that it inspired you guys to try out and think how we use a tool like this for your own workflows and your own client workflows. What kind of things this now enable? Because I think most of the workflows, they remain to be discovered, and those tools are just a foundation to move quickly. But the creativity will come from Notion consultants more than
Yeah,
anyone.
it will. I think that it's going to be a great relationship to have with you. And are you on, what's your main social media that you use? How can people, have conversations with you?
So yeah, it's gonna be X,
Excellent.
and it's very simple. It's called Mind the Flow, and in one word, and it's flow like my first name, Florian.
Wonderful. And what was the discount code that you had for us? What was the code
Yeah,
that
it
first 500?
first 500. Yeah,
First
uh,
500.
yeah, in all cap. And also, if you guys go through it, we'll meet again, because, like I was mentioning, I onboard personally
Mm,
every users, and so depending on people needs, sometimes it's getting them set up technically because they struggle with syncing their database or something like
mm,
this, or they want to see how they can create their custom database, or they want to explore their own unique use case. There's always something to cover, and always something for me to learn from the users, and always something to teach them to do with the product. So I started this very early on, and I have no intention of stopping this because I get so much value out of it.
I'm so proud of you. It's so cool. I love it. It's great. Thank you so much. And for everyone else who joined, um, if you are not in my course, or if you are in my course, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a gift as well for popping on. If you go to notionmali.com/gift, I put the link in the message here. I've got some special discounts on some of my products and services. And yeah, it's just a little thank you for showing up and giving us your time as we explore these exciting new tools. And, this is just another great opportunity to monetize what you're already doing. So hopefully you found a lot of value in this. And if we have another one, hopefully we'll have some more. I've got a handful of people who are creating really cool Notion tools that I've been talking to. So I'm looking forward to connecting with them in the next few months. But yeah, thanks so much, team. Thanks so much, Flo, and everyone else who showed up. Have a lovely evening. We'll chat
Thank you,
soon.
Molly, for setting this up. Have a
Yeah,
great day.
thank you. Have a great day.